Big fluff.
Get on the bike! Come on!
Falcha, Joel Murphy as Anam Dom.
And I'm Andy McIntyre.
And this is Silver Linings Playback, the podcast where we watch maligned movies and we find their silver linings.
And it is the end of March, and that means it is the end of our look at Irish, in quotes, movies. Although this one is full-on Irish this week, to wrap it up. It's not any Americans doing Irish accents. It's real Irish people doing real Irish accents. It is the first ever Irish-made martial arts flick, Fatal Deviation from 1998.
Yeah, look, I mean, for a month, we've been watching what Americans think Ireland is. You know, we've watched a variety of things like that. You know, your Boondock Saints, but also your leap years. You know, like so what?
You're far and away.
You're far and away. So we've seen a lot of visions of what Ireland might be, but we wanted to go to the source. We wanted to actually go to the Emerald Isle and be like, what is it really like to be in Ireland? And I was surprised, and maybe you were surprised to find out it's full of martial arts badassery.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was an underground kung fu ring led by people that dressed in Spirit Halloween monk costumes.
Wait, that wasn't Obi-Wan Kenobi?
No.
Whoa.
I'm as shocked as you are.
But it was his non-union Irish equivalent, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was apostrophe B1 Kenobi.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, I haven't heard that name in quite some time.
I haven't. Don't recall ever owning a droid.
Exactly.
Hello there. Hello there.
I do. By the way, it is my favorite piece of trivia about this movie that it's billed as the first martial arts film from Ireland, and it came out in 1998. I might be able to wrap up Silver Linings right there.
Yeah, that might. I mean, we're going to talk about this movie, but I think that the tagline, a classic good versus evil action flick mixed with kicks, guns, motorcycles, and a hot babe.
Which, in fairness to them, they understand. Yeah, that's what I look for in a movie description, frankly.
No, and did Fatal Deviation deliver? Yeah,
it did. So, yeah, there's a couple that. Well, first, I mean, I think we should get this out of the way. Blake, I became aware of this movie, and one of the reasons that, you know, it came up for this month when we were looking at stuff to do is because this movie has been named one of the worst movies ever made and seems to kind of be agreed to quite possibly be the worst movie that Ireland has ever made. And, you know, cracked.com put this on a list, and it's ended up on various other lists. And
yeah, it's if you go to the Wikipedia article for worst movies of all time, this movie indeed is on that list.
Yeah. So look, we're professionals. You know, we've done over 250 of these. We've watched a lot of bad movies, and I am here at the beginning to definitively tell you, the listener, and you, the country of Ireland, that this is not the worst movie ever made. It's not even the worst movie that we've ever watched.
No,
on this show.
It is so unfair to say that this is one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah.
If only because, like, this is like some buddies dicking around with a VHS recorder that somehow got a release.
Right. Yeah, this is 100% like the kind of movies that they make on It's Always Sunny, or, you know, when Michael Scott was always talking about his movie in The Office. Like, this, look, you know, my friends and I, when we were kids, we used to do backyard wrestling, and we had a camera. We would film it. Sometimes we did other sketches and stuff. And yeah, it 100, like, this does not feel like a professional film shot by crafts people that have studied filmmaking, but it is just, yeah, they had a camera, they had an idea, and it is friends in their backyards filming this at every available place.
Yeah, wherever they could, whether it's the local fun fair or the middle school or the grocery store that one of them definitely worked at.
Yeah.
It is so beyond unfair to call this one of the worst movies ever. That would be like calling Southern Maryland Championship Wrestling the worst wrestling federation ever.
Yeah.
It's just it's not a fair comparison.
No.
And, you know, I mean, we could end it there, and I'll see you next week.
Well, I think what we have to talk about, too, that keeps this from being the worst movie ever made, is this movie exists, one, because a bunch of friends got together to screw around, but it also exists because clearly James Bennett, star, who's also the titular character, who's also just shares his name,
is also named James Bennett.
Yeah, I think they all are, if not most of the characters just have their own names, but
including Mikey Graham from Boyzone.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that later. We're obviously going to talk about Boyzone.
Yeah, how could we not talk about Boyzone?
Yeah. But James Bennett, Jimmy Bennett, as he is in the film, he made this movie himself because he understood, like, and from what I've read, he was trying to showcase the guy knows martial arts, and he wanted people to know that he knows martial arts. And as a demo reel to show you that James Bennett knows martial arts, I think it is successful. You know, it's putting out there, this guy has trained his entire life, I think since he was like 5, and he knows martial arts. Like, you look at him, he immediately has the physique, the sort of, like, you know, square,
he's
tough
built
guy.
Identical to Jean-Claude Van Damme. I mean, let's
really
be honest
is
here. Like,
yeah.
Like, physically, I mean, he's probably a little taller, maybe, but it's impossible to know without any, like, seeing them side by side. But, like, literally, like, the same, you know, like, just phenomenal shape, this dude. Jimmy Bennett is in great shape.
Yeah. And so he's the star, and he's going around doing martial arts, and he, you know, clearly was influenced by, you know, all of the, like, that's the other thing too. It has the feel of Friends making a movie because it is just liberally borrowing from, you know, countless other Jean-Claude Van Damme and these types of films,
Seagal,
for sure.
And
Steven
Chuck
Seagal.
Norris, and like that whole, like, B-tier martial arts movie, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah.
Like, it's ripping off all the martial arts movies that don't have the gloss of a big Hollywood budget, and that's, like, kind of great.
So it's not Rush Hour.
No. Or Shanghai Noon.
The two greatest martial arts films ever.
Yes. Made. Yeah. No, this, and I love that we're talking about this movie. I love that this podcast put this movie in front of my face. I think that's a great thing. But, like, it relative to all movies, is this terrible? Yes. I don't want to say I don't want to get anything communicated otherwise. Like, it is poorly made. It is poorly acted. From a technical standpoint, the sound design is maybe the worst I've ever watched for this podcast. I think by maybe a pretty significant margin. The editing is nonsensical. the gag reel that comes before the credits to a weird soundtrack are all things that happen in this movie. But again, I think all of that is forgivable because it is just a dude messing around with his buddies.
Right. Yeah. Like, is it bad compared to professional movies? Sure. But was, my high school performance of Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat bad compared to Denzel Washington currently on Broadway doing Shakespeare? Obviously, but like, if you were there and charmed by the people involved and had a good time, and look, was I a great Napoli? Obviously, that's not up
that goes
for
without
debate.
saying. I mean,
yeah. Did we not have enough boys to play all of the brothers in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat? So about half of them were women? Sure, obviously.
Yeah, it's a high school production.
Did we also do West Side Story where half of the gang members were also women?
Where it was Bernarda?
But it also doesn't make sense because in West Side Story, there's a whole plot line about a girl that wants to be one of the gang, but was not allowed to be. But there were girls in the gang telling her that. So
yeah,
high school plays are fun.
They really are.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely friends screwing around. And it's, I mean, I guess, well, for a couple of things. One, if you're curious about this movie and we've sold you on it in some way, the entire thing is available on YouTube. You can just watch it.
And it's so little watched, no ad breaks.
No ad breaks. It was like an hour and 15 minutes, I think. And so there's that. And then, the other thing, too, is that just like, I guess we should actually, you read the log line or the promotional material, but there's not much to set up, but I guess we should discuss the plot, set up the plot. So this character, Jimmy, he is returning to his hometown. He's been gone for, I think, like 10 years or something, they say.
Something like that, yeah.
His father was, disappeared, killed by the local toughs. Seems like Jimmy's been spending that time learning martial arts, comes back, goes to the local grocery store, immediately beats the crap out of two dudes who are harassing a woman in the store. This charms the lady,
the hot babe from the tagline.
The hot, yeah, the aforementioned hot babe, and then the guys are part of the gang, so this alerts their boss that Jimmy's back in town, and also there's a martial arts tournament, and also there's a Obi-Wan Kenobi wizard, who I guess trained Jimmy's dad and also wants to train him, but it was a little late to be training him. I mean, notes are pointless when it comes to this movie, but it is a little strange that.
But he does learn the fatal deviation of the title.
He learns the titular. Yeah, fatal deviation, in case you were wondering, is a martial arts move.
As if that wasn't obvious by the name Fatal Deviation.
Yeah, I don't know what fatal deviation sounds like a legal term to me. Like it sounds like something that, you almost got away with it, but you made one fatal deviation.
Or it's the name of an AEW tag team finishing move.
Or an AEW tag team, I guess.
Yeah, it could be an AEW tag team, Fatal Deviation. Before they named Lance Archer and Brian Cage the Murder Machines. Like, what about Fatal Deviation?
Also, doesn't fatal deviation, it either sounds like you deviated into killing someone or you deviated away from killing someone, I guess. So, like, if I'm trying to understand. I feel like you
deviated into killing someone. The deviation itself is what is fatal. You
right,
didn't deviate away from fatality. You deviated into fatality.
Okay.
To me, anyways.
Yeah. Yes. And so, yeah, there's a tournament, and for some reason they end up kidnapping the girl after a big fight. He has a love. There's a training / love montage to a pop song that then ends with they're on a picnic and the guys show up and pick a fight. And steal the girl away from him, and he stands on a motorcycle and shoots at them, as we saw in the beginning.
Yeah. This is after kicking a guy off of said motorcycle.
Yeah. Well, how are you going to get on the motorcycle?
Yeah. I mean, how are you going to get your own motorcycle if you don't kick somebody off of a motorcycle?
That's how I've gotten all my motorcycles.
That's how I've gotten 4 out of my 5 motorcycles.
I'm not allowed at the Harley Davidson dealership anymore. Because they're like, you have to pay for these. Because what I do, my trick is that you ask the motorcycle salesman, hey, can you pull this motorcycle around for me? I want to take a look at it. And once they're on it, you kick them right off and then you drive off.
Yeah. Joel Murphy, fun fact, only person banned from the Sturgis rally. Way
true.
Too many kicks.
Yeah. Well, I saw Jay Leno and I was just like, hey, you want to get kicked off your motorcycle? And then I did it.
Did you ever notice that I kick people off motorcycles? Yeah, you ever notice?
Yeah, it was my version of a street interview that I did with him. Yeah.
Jaywalking. Jay kicking is what they called it.
I'm not kidding, by the way. Fun fact, my SMWO finishing move was called the Jaywalker. It's a real thing, which was basically just my version of like a twist of fate. Like I went like I was doing a DVD and a DVD, DDT. What
DVD is a different move.
I know. That's why I was like, that's not correct. DDT, and then I turned it into a stunner. So that was the
literally
Jaywalker.
a twist of fate.
Yeah. But I mean, like my version is that I didn't put my arm out and scream and have nylons on my arms. Yeah. It's a good finishing move.
Solid.
That's the thing. Everybody does cutters now. If I can have one moment.
Yeah.
If I can have a moment for my own fatal deviation from the main topic here. The Diamond Cutter, one of the greatest finishers of all time. And the Stone Cold Stunner, a great mod on that. It's fun because it is more fun. Like what's fun about the Diamond Cutter when DDP did it was it would come out of nowhere. And that was really delightful to see. You could do it off the top rope. Someone jumps off the top rope. You could hit him with the Diamond Cutter. A lot of cool ways to do it. What's fun about the Stunner is the kicking someone in the stomach ahead of time, which was great for Stone Cold of everyone who fell for the same move a million times, which is assuming that if that man handed you a nice Steve Weiser, that meant you were now accepted by him. But what it really meant is as soon as you take a sip of that, as he would say, some bitch, then you are going to get kicked in the stomach and stunned. And it's satisfying every time. The Stone Cold Stunner, I think, bar none, is the greatest finishing move because anyone can do it. Fun. And it's just really fun to do. And I highly recommend doing it. That being said, this move, like the super kick, has now become utterly meaningless and ruined by this generation of wrestlers.
Too many cutters.
There's too many cutters. Everybody does their own version of it, often not as a finishing move. And much like the super kick, it's like when you do 10 of them in a match and you both do it to each other, it doesn't really mean anything anymore. And it makes me sad. And I guess, I started by talking about the DDT. I suppose that happened to that move as well. That used to be a finishing move. Now it's just a thing that happens in a match.
Yeah. Except for when Jake does it. It's still a finisher when Jake does it.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I just mourn the loss of the cutter as the greatest finishing move of all time, because there was a time that it was. Yep.
That's true.
And I don't know what it is now. What is the greatest finishing move now? Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe by the end of the show.
Get in the comments, everybody. Let us know what the greatest finishing move is. I don't know how we got to that digression, but here we are.
Like I said, it was a fatal deviation. That's how we got to it.
And it killed all the momentum of the podcast.
As was intended,
Perfect. No, this is this may be, I don't want to say unfairly maligned movie that we've watched for this podcast, because every criticism of this movie is dead accurate. I just keep coming back to it is unfair to malign this movie.
Well, it's pointless to malign this movie because, like, what are you doing? Like, I think that's really what we're trying to get at of like, sure, you can criticize this, but you could also criticize a piece of art a child made for you. The proportions are all wrong. Like,
he doesn't have 17 fingers.
Right. But like, again, what's the point? Like, do you want something perfectly made or do you want something fun? And if you want something fun, this movie is fun.
This movie is like, it's fun. You can pay utterly no attention to it and not get lost.
Well, no, I mean, everything that I said is the entire plot. It's an hour and 15 minutes long. There are about 4 story beats in it. There's Jimmy returns to. Yeah, there's almost no dialogue. Jimmy returns to town. He goes to grocery store. He beats up guys. That endears him to Lady. They go out on dates. This upsets the local toughs. They 10 more fight scenes, then this all culminates. And for some reason, he has to win the tournament to beat them, which I don't really think I understood why, but sure. Well, no. I understood why in that the wizard told him that. Yeah,
the wizard did. Obi-Wan Kenobi told him.
Oh, you got to be winning the tournament.
You can't have a martial arts movie without a tournament now, can you, Paul?
That does feel like what it was. And then they went to someone's wood panel basement, I think, to film the tournament. And
someone's murder basement.
And they have the tournament. They also got what you really need, which is like 1, maybe 2 really big guys they found in the town. And
it's like, oh, look at that big feller over there. Let's get on our movie.
Which again,
hey, you're a big feller. You want to be in our movie?
Hey, here's a question. Can you fight? Is that a challenge? And then they fought and then they were in the movie.
Yeah. And they just happened to be filming it. And that fight was used in the movie.
Yeah, he does do the classic move that's also in Boondock Saints, which we talked about last week, the original Boondock Saints, which is you're getting beat up by a bigger guy near a pool table. So you grab a pool ball and hit the guy in the side of the head with it move.
Solid move.
It's a good move. If here's the thing, though, got to be next to a pool table.
Yeah, it's really hard to have access to a pool cue or a billiard ball when you're not near a pool table.
You're right. Pool cue, by the way, better if you have, a little more range, hurts a bit more. Like you can really swing it. Buy you
some time to grab the billiard ball to crunch him in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really a desperation. You're on the ground and also some pool balls have been knocked over near you.
But yeah, this movie hit like it is so cut and paste from every martial arts trope.
Yeah, no, it is just like, yeah, it feels like they just watched movies and were like, okay, this scene from this one, this scene from this one, we got to do this part.
All right, here I'm going to do a high kick, and then there I'm going to do a high kick. Here a high kick, there a high kick.
Everywhere a high kick. Old McDonald kicked a guy. Owie, owie, oh.
Hi.
Jungle Love.
Yeah, like this, this is such a silly, ridiculous, and like, it's kind of nice that this movie is a cult classic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because it's literally like, it's 100% just kids messing around with their buddy's camcorder. Like, I don't think anything was actually edited.
No, I think it has the feel of a movie. And again, I used to make stuff with my friends. As I've said all throughout this episode, I did high school theater. In addition to SMWO, we filmed other stuff together, too. It has that exact feel of the way that you would do stuff then, which is not the way that like professional big budget films are made, where you shoot things out of order and whatever makes sense. And you might do coverage, or it absolutely feels like the editing was done in camera, that they got a shot and then they moved the camera to the reverse and then hit record and did a take and then moved on. Like it's amazing that they have the footage at the end, because I would almost believe that everything shown at the end was every piece of not used footage. Like I bet by the hour 15, everything they shot has been seen by us.
Yeah, no, it was literally every second of film that was shot for this movie.
Yeah, it definitely has that feel.
Like, oh, well, there's a couple of guys, they blew a couple of takes. Should we just throw them out? It's like, No, let's just show everybody everything. Let's just show the whole mess of it.
I mean, look, you can really see his face in the blown take, and he's given his best. So, let's just show it.
And Mikey has a tremendous laugh. He's a singer after all.
That's true. So what is it? Boyzone?
Boyzone.
Is that the
Irish boy band Boyzone.
We teased it, but yeah, he's in a boy band called Boyzone. At the time, in 1998, when they made this, he was actively in Boyzone, but also he's the villain in this. Like, that's what's crazy about it, is he is the, like, guy who is the abusive ex of the love interest and the hot babe in this. He's not like the big bad because there's an old man.
His dad is the big bad
who's running the gang, but he's a Nepo baby. Yeah. Who dated the love interest, and he's a complete jerk in this. Yeah, he's Judd Nelson, who was also in a boy band. That's how he got his start. Yep. The boy band was called The Breakfast Club, and they had that one hit song, "Don't You Forget About Me."
That's true. By The Breakfast Club.
Mm-hmm. That's the name of the band that sang it.
Yep.
Yeah. And his thing would he would get on stage
if you thought it was somebody else.
He'd get on stage and then
they would just hold the freeze frame until everybody cleared out of the arena.
Yeah, which is why he had to stop doing it, because
his arm just got really tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is weird because, like, by a significant margin, Mikey Graham is the closest thing to a celebrity in this movie. Though James Bennett did go on to do a lot of stunt work and, like, cameo extra minor role work in a bunch of action movies. All of that was because of this movie, not prior to it.
Right. And are we ready to pivot? I mean, we've essentially, I don't know that we ever were on one side and now there's another side, but if we want to just officially.
Yeah, let's silver linings this thing.
Yeah, we can just officially move into silver linings, because I think we've kind of set it up, but if you view this through the prism of this was intended to be a demo reel to get one man work, which I think, honestly, as we sit here talking about it, it actually, especially in 2025, fills my poor wounded soul with so much joy to think about the idea of an entire town coming together to get the one guy who's good at martial arts.
It's like, hired. Did you know Jimmy's been practicing the karate? Did you hear about that? We should all get together and make a movie. Make a movie to showcase his karate skills.
He really wants to be in a movie, but no one will hire him. So maybe we make the movie for him.
Because they say, oh, well, the Irish, they don't know any fancy martial arts. They're just drunken bar fighters. Well, our old boy Jimmy Bennett, do you know he can do quite a good kick?
And then I'm just picturing that it's like, well, I've never been in a movie. I can't do that. Well, but you are sewing up my shirt that I have a wee little hole in. We do need someone to do costumes. And it's just, they just went through everyone in the it's just like the end of Three Amigos, where they just asked everyone what their talent was. And, like, honestly, look, here's the move. Hollywood, holler at your boys, or Ireland, please, Ireland, holler at your boys, fly us out. We will make this. The movie that you make is the making of this. Like, 100%. The movie about the town filming Fatal Deviation.
Coming together to film Fatal Deviation to rally around James Bennett.
Yeah, is like, that's the move 100%. Like, that's the big feel good. And that movie would still be relatively an indie movie, but would have 10 times the budget of this actual. But yeah, you just make that. You make the telling of this, which, because like I said, it's very endearing to me that
I'm sure it's a heartwarming tale. And I can't imagine it's that different than what actually went down in Trim, Ireland.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, everything I know about Ireland, especially somewhere that's, again, like, not Dublin, that is Trim, is that, like, there's zero chance that there was anyone, like, when they went to the grocery store, you might watch it as an American and be like, well, how were they able to just go in the grocery store and film a fight scene? And it's like 100% everyone in the town was aware they were making this movie and was just being like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, it's like, there were people still doing their shopping. Like, oh, could you wait a second before picking up your eggs, Maggie? We got to get this shot.
Oh, they're losing the light.
It's the golden hour. You know, it's like, we don't have money for fancy lights. Nobody got the fluorescents here in the Tesco. So you just got to make sure that we get this shot. So if you could just hold off Maggie from getting your eggs. Don't you have a chicken at home? Why are you buying eggs here? You got a nice clutch of chickens at home.
Oh, well, if you're all done, Tom Cruise, if you could just ring me up in the front.
It's like, oh, well, I'm ready for my checkout, Mr. DeMille.
I'm really selling like myself on the idea of just this making of movie.
Just making of the Fatal Deviation.
Yeah.
It's such a, it's, if it's not that, and there's that one town curmudgeon that's like, oh, it'll never work. You're not going to be an action star, Jimmy.
Yeah. And that guy is the old man in the movie, because
100%.
what we find out is like, well, why are you so against it? And it's like, oh, because I had a dream of being an actor and it's not going to happen. It never happened for me. And look, now I'm an old man and my time has passed and I've made my peace with it.
Auditioning for Waking Dead Divine and getting not getting cast.
Exactly. And then it's like, that's the thing, is they realize, well, we just have to cast him as the villain. And then he's the happiest one of all.
And when they do the screening in town, there's just a single tear rolling down his cheek.
Oh man, I want this so badly.
This is already a front runner for best pitch of 2025. I mean, this is the story that I didn't know we needed.
Also, James Bennett, if you're listening, like, please give us your life rights.
Yeah, please. We would gladly make this movie.
Yeah, and you can play yourself still.
Why not? It's only been 30 years. It hurts that 1998 was almost 30 years ago.
It is. What is crazy too is 1998 that's about the time I was doing the SMWO stuff. Like I was actually making like backyard wrestling stuff with my friends at the time that they were doing
My chucklehead friends and I were filming comedy sketches for the local public access network.
Oh man. Look, the other silver linings about this movie, Chekhov's stacked toilet paper display, the fact that, look, there's no subtlety in this movie, but when we went into that convenience store and we were introduced to the hot blonde, what's she doing? She's just stacking a bunch of toilet paper rolls right in the middle of the aisle, because as soon as the two boys start harassing her, one of them is getting kicked right through that pile of toilet paper.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of Wayne's World 2 when the guy's like, oh, we just walk back and forth across the street carrying this plane of glass.
Yes. But that made me so happy, like, because for a movie with zero subtlety, once I saw that they were setting it up, the fact that they knew, pay that off, that was great. Look, and if we haven't been clear on it, I want to be 100% clear. From a filmmaking point of view, from a technical standpoint, this movie is a mess, but from a martial arts standpoint, there's legit good fighting in this movie.
And just the fact that and the stunt performance is like almost like outlierly bad or good, right? Like it's like the stunt performance is as good as the other technical aspects of this movie are bad.
Right. And in a way, the fact that everything else is so just straightforward, just that nobody really thought about it, and they're just pointing a camera at him doing the martial arts, like, it makes it feel all the more impressive, because it does, it adds a cinema verite to it, like, style of like it, that it's real. There's no fancy camera trick to make it look like this guy's kicking higher than he is, or that the person is flipping further than they are. Whatever they're doing is what they're doing. Yeah.
Like, even like the martial arts tournament, like, it is, it's actually like decent movie martial arts, which are not real martial arts. Like it's, like it looks like a movie fight. And I mean that in the most complimentary way possible.
Well, right. That's the thing, is the choreography, like, clearly they understood. They had watched their Malcolm Gladwell amount of hours of martial arts films to understand how to block and execute The fight scenes, and you get all the stuff that you would want, all the hits. You get the pretty early on. It might even be in the convenience store scene. He does the thing where he like kicks right up to almost the guy's face and stops to be like, I could kick you in the face, but I have such control that I want you to run off and tell the others. You know, all of that, like, all that's impressive. We should probably mention that one of the things that's shown in the reel at the end is that they did have a stunt that could have gone very terribly wrong, where they accidentally rolled a car, and they just kind of show that at the end. Luckily, everyone, from what I know, seemed like they were okay, but yeah, they for sure rolled a car.
Yeah. And man, if you do that by mistake, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
But no, it's there's the big hulking guy that makes it to the finals of the tournament with Jimmy Bennett, and like that fight's really good. Like it's just such a neat story that this movie got out and like got a straight to video release and is a thing that exists. Like,
also, I mean, we didn't really talk the gunfights too. There's squibs. There's like, you see the guns go off, you know, you see the blood mist, like all of the things that you would want to see. Like for being an incredibly low budget movie made by, you know, seemingly friends with no real background. I mean, they got all the stuff. And when you think about it too, of 1998, that it's like the internet exists, but it's a pretty primitive internet. And so, you know, now like you watch stuff on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and it's like kids now know how to use Premiere Pro and After Effects and all of that. But like, you know, back then to know how to do a squib, like that took some work. That was like a trip to the library to use the internet and like some deep
to read
research.
The encyclopedia on squibs.
Yeah. Which also squibs, I mean, if people don't really realize, it's like it is a controlled explosion under someone's shirt. Like that's you get a blood pack, you get some sort of small explosion to go off to splatter the blood. Like that kind of stuff is, you know,
and they may
like,
have just been using like those
doing.
little like poppers to like make that pop to do it.
Whatever they did, it looked good. Like, you know, it worked.
Yeah. No, their inventiveness and ingenuity, like for doing a lot of things, it almost makes the stuff that they didn't consider like that much more amusing.
Right. Well, it's also, again, this movie was made in 1996, but there are times when, for all of you crack.com and whoever who claim this is the worst movie ever, where it reaches the heights of a 1980s TV movie. Like, and I mean that complimentary, that like, there are scenes in this movie, individual moments and scenes and action beats that look as good as things that were on television in the United States. That could have
been Lorenzo Lamas.
100%. Because a lot of people don't know this, but Lorenzo Lamas, most of his TV movies were him and his friends getting together.
And just filming stuff.
Yeah, the entire Lamas family
was
just trying to...
Lorenzo, Steve, Bill... all the Lamases making Renegade Part 4.
Lorenzo's Oil.
No, do yourself a favor, lower your expectations and go throw this on YouTube at some point.
Yeah. Why not? Also, did we reach I promised by the end of the show we'd figure out what the best current finishing move is.
Oh, was I supposed to be processing that in the background?
Yeah. You were supposed to with your spare CPU.
It's Will Ospreay's Hidden Blade.
That's it. It is Will Ospreay's Hidden Blade.
Yeah. That's the best. It's great.
It is great, and it looks dicey every time.
Every time it looks like he's really hurting them, and by all reports, it is completely foolproof safe.
Yeah, or
as opposed to the house call from Swerve Strickland that I think he just kills people.
No, Swerve Strickland has a vibe that reminds me of the greats of ECW, which is to say that there's not a real art form to it. They're just hurting people.
Yeah, it's just violence. One of the reasons that Swerve is one of my favorite things in wrestling right now.
Well, the funny thing is, those are probably my two favorite wrestlers in AEW right now are Swerve and Will Ospreay. So you get both, which is the what they say about Stone Cold versus The Rock, that the difference between the two of them, according to Mick Foley, is Stone Cold really punched you in the head and The Rock didn't.
Yeah. The Rock did his jangly punch and it was.
Yeah.
And then Austin just hit you.
Yeah. Which is my favorite, by the way, Mick Foley story that I believe is from his first book, where he talks about how Terry Funk was his idol. And he always wondered how Terry Funk's punches look so good until he wrestled him and realized he just punches you in the head.
Yeah, that he's just, it is not a worked punch in any way, shape, or form. He is just straight slugging you in the face.
Yes.
It's like, oh, that's how he does it. Mm-hmm. I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did it, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what's crazy? Mick Foley fell off the top of the cell in 1998, the same year that some boys in Ireland were making Fatal Deviation. And if that's not a good symmetrical way to end not only this episode, but this month.
I
think the last thing to say as to Americans who've truly enjoyed doing this, Ireland, you're awesome. And we as Americans are sorry.
And we would love to, if you would adopt us.
Please adopt us and bring us to your town to make the making of Fatal Deviation.
We will go to Trim and make the making of Fatal Deviation.
I'll work in that grocery store if it's still there to fund it.
Yeah. You know it's still there.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that Trim looks exactly today like it did back then.
Also, I'll stop at my local Spirit Halloween before flying out there to pick up an Obi-Wan Kenobi outfit, and I'll grow this beard out between now and when I get there. I can go ahead and just play that.
Yeah, you can be that guy. Yeah,
I'll be the wizard in the movie. Yeah,
yeah, why not?
And Andy, I mean, you're definitely in the tournament, right?
Yeah, I think that goes without saying, right? That I'm one of the punks that gets beat up in the early rounds of the tournament.
Yeah, you might be the guy in the grocery store that's like.
I might be. I just might be. I might be old enough to be the sad old man that hates everybody too, though.
I mean, that is how I feel internally. So I think emotionally you're there. I don't know if age-wise you're
emotionally
there.
I'm definitely there. Aesthetically, maybe I got a couple good years left, and that is the loosest definition of good.
Well, Truckee Arla.
Silver Linings Playback is a production of HoboTrashcan.com. If you enjoyed the show, please rate or review it on Apple Podcasts. Hear more great shows on the Peak Sloth Podcast Network.